I came across this recently. It says, one of the critical mistakes this author who wrote this has made is to judge God by the present conditions of my dreams. When my dreams seem to thrive, I figure God is for me, that he must indeed be strong and able. And we do believe that when things are going well. But the test of faith comes when the path to our dreams look like it's swerving off course. Or maybe for people who are listening today or watching today, it's fallen off the cliff. And when that happens, you think, God, you could have saved this. That is correct, he could. But he chose not to for a reason that we won't know. That's part of following a sovereign, faithful, perfect God.
Hi, and welcome to our 5-day patio series, Strength for Today and Hope for Tomorrow for Reframing Ministries. We are so happy that you are joining us here for day one. And my name is Tiffany. I am the Reframing Ministries project coordinator, but today I get to represent you as the listener and viewer and just have a talk with Colleen on her back patio about different things of life and how we do the hard times, the easy times, and the roller coaster. So today we're going to kind of touch on expectations. I know we've all come into this year with how we think life is going to be, but it often lets us down. And Colleen knows that so well. So Colleen, how do we reframe this thing called life and our expectations? And when we come into marriage or ministry or even parenthood and it doesn't look like we expected, can you help us reframe that?
I have no idea. No, I'm kidding. I think, first of all, it's becoming aware that we have expectations. A lot of times, I know for sure in my life, I've expected something without even knowing it. And when the expectation is disappointed, then I realize I expected this to be different. I expected a different outcome. I expected my prayers to be different. I expected my children to turn out differently or to be healthy when they're not healthy or they're disabled, or I expected family life to be different. So those expectations are often not caught until they're disappointed. What I have learned instead is to evaluate first. How am I praying? Are my prayers in keeping with what the Lord calls me to, which is surrender first? And I'm going to go back to Psalm 13, where David is in a horrible situation, and he's saying, how long are you going to let this happen? How long? I mean, we've all had that how long happen this last year especially, but for caregivers, it's been our lifetime. I didn't expect to be caring for my loved one or a friend or a child with special needs. That was never my expectation. But when the Lord allows that to happen, we realize, oh, I thought life was this way. I got to reframe it to be this way. So David is saying in Psalm 13, how long, Lord, are you going to let this happen? Things that were happening were awful, and he was king. So even in those places of, like, we think people in higher places have no problems.
Right, like, because most people would think that you, as a Swindoll, wouldn't have problems.
Join us for a day. You have. I've got you glued to the seat. But that's the truth. And the reality is that everybody behind closed doors is struggling with something. Everybody. And it doesn't have to be just this season with COVID or with the pandemic. It's struggling with, my child isn't where I wanted them to be or thought they would be. My marriage isn't where I thought it would be. My job is not where I thought it would be. Maybe they've lost a job. Whoever plans on losing a job and having nothing to move forward. So instead of expectations, because David says in Psalm 13, how long, O Lord? And he lists out what he's really frustrated with. The enemy's winning. There is no justice. And life isn't fair. So how long are you going to let this go on? And he allows himself to feel it, first of all. Then secondly, he does not allow his feelings to make decisions for him.
Ooh, that's good.
He chooses instead to say, but I know that you are God. Basically, what we need to remember is We're not. He is. So instead of expectation, it's anticipation. Lord, I anticipate because your word says you are faithful, that you are perfect and good and have a good plan for us. The plan falls apart when he's carving our souls and transforming us. And we think, well, I needed that in my life. I needed to have this work out like this. And Jesus goes, no, I'm going to shift that because that's part of your plan. My plan is that you will surrender to me, call out to me, and anticipate whatever he has allowed and will allow to come to pass. So in that psalm, I love David's authenticity. We've got to be authentic with Jesus. We've got to be just really where we are. Because I know that I need to have time to just emote. And that's why I love David's writings. And that's why I love the Psalms all the way through is, yeah, you can express your emotion, but then take every thought captive and say, according to truth, Lord, your word says that I can trust you, that you are going to be with me, that your love is unconditional and will never leave me. The end of Romans 8 says that. There's nothing that will take away his love. It doesn't say that when we follow him, it's going to be easy. So expecting life to be easy, we got to dump that right away.
Right away. Right away.
Because we follow Jesus, the misnomer is,
Yes.
He's going to make it all work out better than we
The
anticipate.
magic genie.
He's my fairy dust.
Right.
Wrong. So that's what I have learned is to say, Lord, I am not in control. I did not expect to have a son with so many disabilities. I did not expect to go through a divorce. What young married couple walks down the aisle saying, this is going to end up in a mess? But often in a mess, Jesus emerges and pulls things together that we cannot imagine. So we have to anticipate what he will do because he is good.
Yes.
And he is faithful and he is just and he is right. And that sometimes isn't even actualized until heaven.
So it sounds like our expectation should not be in our circumstances, but the anticipation needs to be in the goodness and steadfastness of God.
Yes, and what we believe about God. In fact, I came across this recently. It says one of the critical mistakes this author who wrote this has made is to judge God by the present conditions of my dreams. When my dreams seem to thrive, I figure God is for me, that he must indeed be strong and able. And we do believe that when things are going well. But the test of faith comes when the path to our dreams look like it's swerving off course. Or maybe for people who are listening today or watching today, it's fallen off the cliff. And when that happens, you think, God, you could have saved this. That is correct, he could. But he chose not to for a reason that we won't know. That's part of following a sovereign, faithful, perfect God. He doesn't fit in to our world. So our circumstances will change. What's in us is the choice to believe, to say, Lord, I don't understand this right now, but I know you're making me, you're shaping me, you're carving me into the person that you want me to be. This is painful. It's awful. I hate it. But he expresses it, and then he says, but I'm going to worship you, Jesus, because you are God, you are sovereign, and I am not. And when we rest in that, it removes so much aggravation that I know I faced and continue to face. I don't want to have chronic pain. I don't want to have my son struggle. But daily he struggles, and daily there's pain. So Lord, you've allowed this, and I'm going to worship you, anticipating good will come, whether I see it or not, as we know in Hebrews. He says, these people were not worthy of this earth and didn't see the result of their prayers until heaven. That gives me comfort. It gives me encouragement to know what I see is part of God's big plan. What we hear around here is part of God's plan as we sit out on the porch. There's noise, there's interruptions, things in life are going to happen. So what I have learned is to address, these are the expectations I have going in. My faith and what I've learned through time is anticipate God to show up where we are, as we are, and love us where we are.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much, Colleen. And friends, we hope that you have been comforted and encouraged through our day one video patio series, giving you strength for today and hope for tomorrow. And if you could use some more hope and strength and community, we would love for you to join us in our free private Facebook group on Facebook. It's called Community of Family Caregivers. Well, friends, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow for another day of hope.